In the dream, he climbed a narrow foot trail alone in the sun, on a bare mountainside littered with metal corpses. At the summit above him, the stone building sat framed in light. She stood shadowed in the window, as she always did. He saw no face. The path ran straight to the door. He pressed higher, pebbles and gravel skittering away beneath his bare feet. He passed one hulk, the twisted remains of a car. Another was unrecognizable. Strips and shards of metal lay strewn across the trail. He felt one enter the underside of his foot. A concrete bunker built into the hillside was full of soldiers. They reached their arms through the opening and called wordlessly to him as he pushed on higher. The path grew steep, his feet slipping with every step now. The shards went into his soles, straight through to the bone, and opened the soft flesh between his toes. He leaned forward and scrabbled at the ground with his fingers, trying to pull himself higher. He saw metal come through the back of one hand and cleave the fingers of another. The mountain heaved beneath him. The figure in the window turned away and receded into the little building as one of its walls slid away in a cascade of stone blocks. A voice from below called without words for him to come back down. His footing gave way as the mountain buckled. He fell forward and met the trail with his face. A shard went through his cheek and into his tongue. The bombs fell in earnest all around him. He clawed the ground, but it disintegrated beneath him as he slid backward into the crater. He jolted awake, honking the horn with the palms of both hands. The meager little toot cried four-cylinder economy rental, but to him it was deafening in the dark and quiet of the sleeping neighborhood. The center console of the car had some napkins wadded into it, which he pulled out and used to dry his face. He sat with his hands on his legs, eyeing the little house and waiting for his breathing to return to normal. The second-story windows remained dark. He sat back against the seat and stole a look in the vehicle's mirror. The eyes that met his in the silvered rectangle looked coal dark and hard. The gray half-circles smudged beneath them hollow and soft. He sighed. A backpack sat on the passenger seat. From its overstuffed depths, he produced a miniature leather-bound book, small enough to fit in the palm of his hand. A taut leather band inside it held a tiny pen. He drew this out as he flipped through to the inside of the back cover. On the last page of the book, he scratched a little hash mark next to a collection of other hash marks. Stuffing the book away, he reached for the ignition, where the key sat in the off position. He turned it to on and threw an arm over the passenger seat. Casting a final glance at the house, he craned over his shoulder and rolled the car in neutral down a gravel drive. He waited until it was on the street and pointed downhill before starting the engine and putting it in gear. Bungalow homes slept on either side. At the end of the block, pulling the wheel to the right, he switched on the lights. The dim road cut across the broad foothills of a low coastal mountain range. Above and to his right, the forested ridges. Below and to his left, moonlit rooftops spilled down 4 miles to a black bay spanned by great bridges. Receding behind him beyond the houses and above the trees, a soaring Gothic building rose like a cathedral against the night. In its shadowed buttresses, the hosts and legions, gargoyles and cherubim, crouched and dancing, wept and stood watch. He turned onto the main descending road and made his way down to the edge of the water. Out over the bridges, across the glassine bay and into the hills. Another hour south to where the highway met the ocean. Then the long moonlit ride along the mountainous California coast. There were more direct routes to Los Angeles. He took the long way, winding beneath the crags with the waves crashing far below. He rolled the windows down and played no music. The hours turned small.